Hello, hello, and welcome to Climbing Sideways. I'm your host, Adriana de Cervantes. I'm a mom, an artist, a communicator, a business owner, and a million other things that are way too long to put into a podcast intro. I'm the creator of this weird little show about work, life, and how people find their calling. In today's episode, you'll hear my conversation with Lindsay McNamara. Lindsay is the founder of Beachy Birder Adventures. Lindsay and I know each other through our volunteer work with Wild Bird Research Group, where we both sit on the board of directors. Beachy Birder is an awesome small business in New Jersey that hosts bird walks throughout the Garden State, meant to encourage anyone and everyone, but especially the bird curious, to appreciate the beauty and wonder of nature. My conversation with Lindsay was so much fun. We discussed the ups and downs of making your favorite hobby your job, where to go when trigonometry stumps you, and the very helpful reminder that it is totally okay to ask for help. This was also my very first podcast interview, so if you want to hear more from Lindsay, have any follow-up questions, or think there's anything else I should have asked, please let me know. Okay, let's get to it. Here's my chat with Lindsay. All right, how was your day?
Oh, it was great. How was your day?
It was good. I had lunch in Princeton today with a colleague of mine who I'm asking to help me out with the visuals for this. She's a very talented illustrator and designer. So some days I go all over the place and I'm like working on 6 different things within the scope of a day. It was actually really nice that today I focused on this project for the majority of the day leading into having this conversation.
That's great.
All right. So what the heck is this podcast? Where did this idea come from? How did we end up here? This idea was brewing as something that came to me when I was in grad school. And I have shared this with a lot of people. But basically, throughout the course of that 2-year program, I learned about so many jobs that I was like, I had no idea that was a job. That's so cool. That's so interesting. One of them was user research, right? I had no idea that there's an entire ecosystem built around, one, just observing people, right? Going to malls, watching foot traffic, seeing what people stop at, understanding how people move through a grocery store. So there's just like the observational piece of it. And I love people watching. You can sit me on a bench with a good cup of coffee.
Me too.
Indefinitely.
Absolutely.
And the second piece of that is, in-depth interviews. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, people are getting paid to people watch and gab all day. And I had no idea.
You're like, I can do that.
100% I can do that. And I'm very observant. I'm very astute with making connections, all these things. And so, time and time again throughout those 2 years, it was just like, oh my God, that's a job. Oh my God, that's a job. And how do we give people access to this information sooner, whether they want to make a career pivot, whether they just want to learn, right? Like the television show equivalent is how it's made. I don't want to go make crayons.
Okay.
I don't want to go make crayons in a factory.
No.
But it's really interesting to watch how it's done and learn.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the general thesis behind these conversations.
Cool.
So with that in mind, the question I would like to start with is, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a zookeeper when I was growing up. And then I learned from my parents that you don't make a lot of money when you're a zookeeper. This was a big letdown, right? Big letdown. And so by 8th grade, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I always loved animals and did not know any other job at that age that you could do that involved animals, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like, I think I'll be a veterinarian. And that's what I wrote I have like an 8th grade project I kept that I wanted to go to Penn State and be a veterinarian.
Wait, say more about that. What was the project?
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. I might have it.
You just turned around
I might
to look
have
for it.
Yeah. Another time. But it was, because it wasn't home ec, but it was kind of like home economics, right? But like we had like some lifestyle teacher, I don't know. And she did this project for us. And we had to do like what we wanted to be when we grow up, who's our hero, who's our mentor, like family values and goals. And then she mailed it back to us our junior year of high school when we were looking into colleges.
Whoa, that's a lot of follow-up work for a teacher.
Right? And she kept her, like she followed through.
That's so interesting. Do you remember any of the other things that you put into that project, like who your hero was or what your goals were at that point?
I remember that my hero was my dad and my mentor was my mom. I remember that I picked my parents. And you remember the word art? Remember the dope like word art? I remember I had like some like squiggly lines, the like blue and dark blue one. Like there's a lot of rainbow word art in this project.
Incredible.
Is what I remember.
Incredible.
It was giving like the paperclip. Remember the paperclip on Microsoft
Yeah,
Word?
the little helper, the
Exactly.
Microsoft Word helper.
Exactly.
Clippy, I think was his name.
Looking back now, like what like you said, what a commitment on the teacher's part and like what an insightful project, right? Now I don't keep anything. You can ask my fiance, I keep nothing. And I've kept this for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was one consistent thing throughout your childhood. You were like, this is what I want to be. Well, it's like a, zookeeper to veterinarian and then
teacher, because I still liked science. And I didn't know what you could do because I didn't want to be a scientist, but I liked science. And so then I ended up going to the University of Delaware for earth science education, but I changed my major halfway through undergrad when I realized there were other things that you could be. Mm-hmm. And you could be a science communicator in a lot of different ways. And it doesn't mean that you have to do hard science, right?
Yeah. Also, back up, I'm super curious what your idea in your head was when you said you didn't want to be a scientist. Because I joke all the time that I'm like, maybe I should have been a scientist. But in my head, what they do is not what was in my head when I thought scientist.
I remember sitting in the basement. So I went to UD, very proud, Fighting Blue Hen. And I was in this beautiful old building on campus called Penny Hall. And that was the geology lab. And I'm in the basement and it's a beautiful day. And I obviously have like day drinking to do and other things to do. But for some reason, I go to geology lab, right? And I'm sitting in my pretty dress. I can remember vividly. I'm sitting in this pretty blue dress and I'm in this basement and we're doing trigonometry to find the angle with which a rock broke.
Okay.
And my ass was sitting there like the rock fucking broke. I don't care. The angle, I have things to do. Like, I can't, like, let's wrap this up, right? Uh-huh. And that was the moment when I was like, maybe not a scientist. Maybe not for me. Interested in rocks, love a rock, really want to go outside and see some rocks, but really have no desire to do this trigonometry equation. Did not want to do the math.
I am so far removed from math at this point. Yeah, I had one bad science teacher and I loved math up until I hit calculus. And I had a really bad calculus teacher. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to art school. None of this shit matters for me anyway.
Amazing. I mean, art pivot to art school.
And then my senior thesis in undergrad ended up being about math and art. So it came full circle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so Delaware Blue Hens, which means, yes, you went to school. So then tell me about sort of the trajectory from there. I'm also intrigued by the fact that, you said you changed majors. So in undergrad, you also had this experience of trying to figure it out as you go along. You had one major based on something that you were interested in and then switched it up.
I did. I felt very supported by I don't want to sound like a commercial for the University of Delaware, but I really had a very positive experience. And I know that not everybody has a, very positive, like love their alma mater experience, but I did. And so University of Delaware was so fun because it's a huge school, like it's a big public state school, right? But I was in this little college called the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. And if you made the dean's list, if you got essentially high honor roll, they would take you to dinner with your professors at a restaurant on Main Street. And there would be like maybe 20 of us that we went every semester. And so it was such an intimate experience. And you knew everybody and your professors really knew you. And so they had launched this new major called environmental studies. And I had just been exposed to like environmental policy and advocacy. And I was fired up, man. I was mad. I was mad about fracking. They were going to frack the Delaware. I was like, no way, man. Not today. Not never. I was very upset and righteous in the way that only 20-year-olds can be, right? And so it came at a good time, came at the right time for me because I didn't want to know how the rock broke. And then I was introduced to like something to be very angry about, essentially. And so I felt supported by the small college I was in when I made this switch. And they ensured me that I would still graduate on time, which was a big thing for me. And so I did make that switch and it worked out. My first job was I think it was called an ocean advocacy fellow. And I worked for a small nonprofit off the coast of Jersey on Sandy Hook, if you know, you know. And I remember learning that like sometimes saving the ocean looks like making an Excel spreadsheet. And that's like that nonprofit lifestyle, right? Is that saving the world is not nearly as glamorous as I thought that it would be, right? And so it's kind of a slog sometimes. I just kind of bounced around from different nonprofits as us millennials do and learned quite a bit. They put the girl right out of college on social media.
Shocking.
Right? Shocking. And so did like environmental communications and then got into development and fundraising and kind of worked at different levels of nonprofits and got my grad degree in there. I worked for a state university for a little while and went to school at night and got a master's degree in public and organizational relations. And so I truly, like, when I lead my bird walks, I say, you know, I am not a scientist, I'm a science communicator because I have a Bachelor of Arts in Environmental Studies and then a master's degree in PR, essentially. So if you want to believe the pieces of paper that I have, that is on paper what it is that I do.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about the decision to start Beachy Birder.
So I had been working in communications and fundraising for about 12 years and had worked my way up at a local nonprofit and found myself really struggling with work-life balance. And it's an interesting phenomenon when you get to the peak of the mountain that you had been climbing and you realize that the view isn't what you thought it was going to be. It is totally okay to be like, oh, nah, right? Like, never mind. I didn't know. You don't know until you're there. And then you're there and you're like, oh shit. And so I had one of those moments too, which I guess is on brand for me that I like to, I'm fucking around and finding out, I guess.
Yeah. And also, how old were you when you got to the top of the mountain and had that realization?
Oh, that's a good point. I was 33.
Okay. So pretty young.
Pretty young.
But the millennial urge to be deeply successful by the time you're 35, right? Like, yeah,
like there's something, you're like chasing something for 40. I don't know. I don't really know what it is, but like I was just doing the thing I was always taught. I don't know. To nobody's detriment. You just, you climb until you get to where it is that you want to be. And then you're supposed to be really happy there.
Yeah.
It's kind of the narrative, right? And so I got there and everybody was wonderful, first of all. Great cause, like really important stuff. And I was just like, oh man, I can't run at this rate. I just can't go at this rate. I think digital immediacy and some other things like cultural shifts that have happened in our relationship with technology since I've been at school. Like there's so many variables, right? Because we're science communicators. So we're just thinking about variables. But there's a lot of variables as to why this went the way that it went. But, I just couldn't hack it. And so I didn't want to hack it. And so I stepped down and into a smaller role at a different organization and took a pay cut and was looking at like waitressing again or like, what can I do? Like I got to pick this up somewhere. And my fiance was like, I don't know why you would waitress when you are sitting on this really good idea. And my mom for years has been like, I don't know why you don't just lead bird walks on your own, because I've been birding since I was a kid. I've been birding since I was 9. My spark bird, or like the bird that sparked your interest in birding, is a great blue heron. I saw one on a rock in the middle of the Raritan River in Jersey, and it blew my 5th grade fucking brain, man. I was like, what is that?
Ago.
What?
I just saw one a couple weeks ago.
They're so cool. Like, it's the coolest bird ever. And you're like, what is, and it's so approachable, right? It's so big and like solitary and stationary. Like for a 9-year-old, it's like you have the like time to really appreciate it, right? In a way that like a warbler is just not going to gift you that typically, right? But a heron will gift you that. And so that like was it for me. And I had been listening to birds with my grandmother, like blue jays and crows out the window of her house when I was 5 years old. Like this has always been how it is, right? And so I had been birding since I was 9. I started leading bird walks in 2018, and I was leading them for the different nonprofits that I would work at as like member benefits, right? And then I stepped out last October and started Beachy Birder Adventures LLC. And it's been so fucking fun. Like, it's just been really, really fun and like super interesting. And like my brain is happy. My brain's getting a lot of food and like trying to figure out problems and strategy and events and how do you bring people in to birding in new ways. And then I'm making my schedule, right? So I'm filling the gaps that I needed to fill financially by doing events when I can on my own time. So it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. So tell me, how does it feel now that one of your passions is also another job and like all wound up in the same question? Talk to me about work-life balance. Because girl, we got to rest. Rest is resistance. Rest is essential.
So I did that thing that millennials are doing where we're like monetizing our hobbies, right? Mm-hmm. So like catch me wherever they keep track of what all millennials are doing to like blame us for all the things. Like I'm on that list, right? And so
hustle culture, exactly. The gig economy, all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all the napkins, right? What else did we ruin? Anyway, I digress. But so it's challenging. I love Beachy Birder. I'm having so much fun. And you know, I think it's been a hard year. It's been a hard year for everybody. And there have been so many times where I've thought to myself, like, wow, what a gift this is to be able to think about this and work on this and meet these people and, you know, talk to these people. And, you know, I'm a hugger. I hug everybody. They hug me back. They come back on another walk. I'm like, holy shit. Like every time that somebody signs up for something, like I tell my fiance, I'm like, oh my God, they signed up. Like somebody signed up. And he's like, I don't know why you're still surprised every time. I'm like, I'm going to be surprised every time that somebody wants to come and see a bird with me. Like what the fuck is going on? This is wild. This is wild. Right. So like, it's so thrilling. It's thrilling, which is incredible. And so I have to mention that there is a community of women called Babes in Business that I am deeply obsessed with, that was started by this woman, Jenny Chavez, who's incredible. And she does these like networking parties. It's basically like if Barbie and Lisa Frank threw up all over a Chamber of Commerce meeting, but it was fun. Like that's what Babes in Business is. And it's all these badass like moms like you, like, and they're doing it. And they're supporting each other and they're lifting each other up and they're having real conversations about how fucking hard it is and debt and money and their marriages and like all the things that historically are not talked about, like get talked about. And I think that that community has been so important in like the why and then continuing to do it, you know?
That support network is everything. And also seeing it done. Yeah. Right? The only reason that I am able to do what I do now, and even starting this podcast, is both sides of the coin. One, watching people do it and do it really well, and like seeing it modeled and seeing that it's possible.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, being in so many places, spaces, companies where people at the top level did not get there based on merit. And I'm like, if they got there, I could do it. So both of those things simultaneously just remind me that we can all just do whatever we want.
I think it's so comforting for people who have that boss mentality that maybe you can't stop thinking about work. And that could be bad, especially if you're thinking about like interactions with your coworkers or like your anxiety brain is popping off or whatever is going on. But some of us have this thing where you just can't really stop thinking about it. And like, what a way to turn it around and make it positive by like instead giving yourself something to focus on that is an interesting project to you, that is like something that you're passionate about. And then you can just like move that energy over to somewhere that is like a lot more inspiring, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? And channel it.
Yeah. It's funny. I used to tell people when, you know, the conversation around work was like, what's your dream job? Or like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, what I want to do is sit on a beach in the Caribbean and read as many books as I want and have my friends come visit me whenever I feel like, but that's not the world that we live in. And so, yeah, I think for the longest time, it was like, I couldn't envision what a dream job would look like because I couldn't imagine like loving work all that much. And I think it goes back to, I went to undergrad for photography.
Amazing.
And I took something that was like a passion of mine, making art, you know, exploring places, travel, landscape. And then later I got more into people and portraits. And being in school was amazing. I could go on endlessly about like the 4-year gorgeous bubble that art school was. I just got to literally make art and learn about art for 4 years straight.
Amazing.
But then you go out into the world and you're working and you're trying to apply everything that you learned to like the commercial world. And it doesn't feel good.
No.
And so I made it work. And my bread and butter business for a really long time was retouching. And that's what I told myself, that like, because I could make my money over here. And it was like high-end kitchen electronics, e-com, perfume, beauty, jewelry, whatever. And then I only took the shooting jobs that I really wanted to do, that I was like really passionate about. But even still, you know, the catalyst for me eventually going back to grad school was like a totally different story. I'll tell you that story over beers.
I'm excited.
But it was like, I couldn't give myself permission to pivot away from photography. Otherwise, there was like this need to climb the metaphorical mountain that you talked about, to get to the top, to like whatever. And everybody who told me my whole life growing up, like, you'll never be able to make money as a photographer or whatever. Like, I just felt so like, I just have to keep doing this thing because I know I can. I know if I keep going, I'll make it or whatever. But the thing that I was doing was not the thing that I loved, was not the reason that I went to school for photography to begin with. And I still take pictures. I still make pictures, especially when I'm traveling. But I went to school for it, having no concept whatsoever about what it meant to be a commercial photographer out in the world. And that has also changed significantly over the last, you know, I'll say 10 years, yes, but even in the last 3.
Yeah.
I really don't want this to turn into a podcast about AI, but like AI is changing every single work area or concentration so rapidly, in my opinion, for the worse.
I mean, I see it on bird walks, right? So Cornell Lab of Ornithology has this amazing free app called Merlin, and it has what I call Bird Shazam, which is sound ID, right?
Yeah,
and so you hit the button and everybody loves it. It's phenomenal. And like, I love Cornell. So you hit the button and the machine learning gathers the bird sounds, and then it populates a list of the birds that are calling near you. That's beautiful. That's amazing. It cannot take the place, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it cannot take the place of building community with other birders to learn what is calling near you with these other people.
Yes.
So I make the joke because I'll tell people about Merlin, and then we use it on the walks, and I'm like, but AI can't take my job because look at how much fun we're having. Like, I hope.
Totally. Oh, totally. How do you see your career changing, if at all, in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, where do you want to go?
Okay. This is so interesting because I was brought up that you go to school and you get a good job. You got to get a good job, right? That has like good benefits and this and that. And then you just work, right? And you like raise a family and
you're supposed to retire somewhere in there.
Right. And so you you meet somebody, you get married, you have kids, you have the house, you do the thing, like you do the white picket fence, right? And like, I think that more and more of us are saying like, fuck your fence, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's okay. And
should we name the podcast that? Fuck your fence?
I think you could. I really think you could. People would get what you meant, I think. But like, it could look so different. And so like, one of my friends was saying, because you don't have to climb everything. This is the thing. So like now I started Beachy Birder Adventures, taking my glasses off for this one. She's getting righteous. But like, so I like started Beachy Birder Adventures. And so everybody is kind of like, not everybody. Some folks are like, oh, are you still working? Is this your new job? Like kind of what's going on, right? And the assumption is, now that you're doing Beachy Birder Adventures, that you started Beachy Birder, don't you want to climb that, right? So now the new level in Mario is, so you're going to scale to the point where Beachy Birder is your new job.
And your whole income. And also the question is usually being asked with not necessarily full-blown judgment, but it's how they're trying to gauge whether or not it's successful.
Right. And so
they will give you more kudos. They will give you more props if you build it to the place where it can be your only job and it can be your full and singular source of income.
So far, the experience I've had has been like most things, right? It's like two extremes. It's like, make sure you keep your real job because like, this is cute. Like, this is cute what you're doing, but like, make sure you keep your real job. Or what, like, are you going to franchise? Where are you going? Like, what are we doing next? And like, how are you going to expand? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And in the middle was I went to lunch with a friend who like gave me permission in a beautiful way. He looked at me and he said, or maybe you just have a very lucrative side business and that's all it is for you. And that's okay. And I was like, oh my God, like that could be it, right? Like, there doesn't have to be this, like, it's this or it's this, like, it's always gray. And so it's been fun to just like kind of enjoy the gray a little bit and
say, fuck the fence.
Exactly. Fuck the fence. The closest I have gotten recently, I like this story, so I'm going to make it fit. As any good PR professional will just make their shit fit the way that they want it to.
Amazing.
And say what they want to say, right?
It all fits. It all fits. Let's go.
But I fangirl really hard about Silent Book Club of Monmouth County. I don't know if you've seen this, but there is this movement that is happening with silent book clubs all over the country. And there's a bunch in Jersey. And so
what's a silent book club so that I understand?
So these folks, they get together at a predetermined meeting place. And at least the events that I've been to, you show up, you bring a friend or you don't, and you bring your book, and you're usually at like a cool place, right? You're at like a brewery, or like we went to a theater, we went to the park, like all different avenues for all different folks, and bring your book, and you have a half hour of like light socializing, and then you silently read together for an hour with hundreds of people.
Unhinged.
And
I
then,
love it, but that is wild.
It's amazing. And then you come back together and you gab, and then you go home. And it's like an introvert's dream, right? Because you're out, but you're not, but you're socializing, but whatever. And I think what these, the organizers of the Monmouth County chapter, what these women are doing is unbelievable. And they went like viral recently. They've been on traditional news. They have like 30,000 followers or something on Instagram. They're like a big deal. All of their shit sells out really quick. And we did what they call a side quest, right? And so I slid into their DMs because I was that girl. And I was like, I'm fangirling so hard. Let me just like slide in and see what happens. And we put together a side quest of like mindful birding and reading at this beautiful park in Freehold.
Like a collab.
Like a collab, exactly. And so one of the really fun things about Beachy Birder is all the collabs, like working with yoga studio and a tarot card reader, and we're doing like messages from above and like how to be more open to messages from nature and birds and like fucking, it's so cool. Cause like
that's amazing.
So many people are bird curious and like there are so many things that are bird adjacent. So like I'm having so much fun with like, how do we get people that are right there? They're like on the fringe. They're doing stuff that's similar to birding. They just don't know about birding yet. Or like we were talking about, maybe they had shitty teachers or shitty leaders, whatever. Like, you know, how can we get them in? And so did this collab and it was like this beautiful evening and I got paid in cash. The women paid me when they got there and the sunset was gorgeous. And I like, you know, I'm going to the ATM to deposit all this cash into my business account, which I still can't believe that I have a credit card that says Beachy Birder Adventures on it. But like I deposited all this cash money that these beautiful women paid me to like read and listen and look at birds in a park.
Amazing.
If I had a dream job, it would be fucking that. That's it. Yeah. Like, and I had this unbelievable moment at like the PNC parking lot where I was like, fuck yeah, like this is it. This is what it is. I don't know anything, but like I know it's this, right?
Yeah.
And like it was awesome. It was so cool.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was fun. It was so fun. They're great.
Okay, so my question from Gabriel for this interview.
Yeah.
Gabriel wants to know, what is the best time of year for bird walks at Beachy Birder?
And who is Gabriel?
My son. Yeah.
How old is your son?
I have two boys, 8 and 10.
8 and 10, that's so fun. They're like little people. They're like al dente. They're almost done, right?
Exactly.
That's so cute. Okay, so Gabriel is 10 or 8?
10.
10. Okay, so he's a little man.
My thought for including them in these episodes is that they'll either get to ask a question, or if I think someone's job description is kind of like weird or ambiguous, I'll ask them at the beginning or at some point, like, okay, this is what this person's job is. What do you think that means? What do you think that,
how
what do you think that is? And they'll say it, and then it'll be kind of like the intro before we get into all these other things. So, but yeah, so he wants to know what the best time of year for bird walks is at Beachy Birder.
Wow. Well, he is very smart, and that's a great question. The best time of year for bird walks is all the time. So it depends on what he wants to see. If Gabriel wants to see a bald eagle getting its nest ready for making more bald eagles, the wintertime is the right time for that. There's also weird ducks. It's weird duck season.
Oh my God, I got your weird duck email.
Weird ducks, they're the best. They're so weird. So like winter's a great time for weird ducks and winter raptors. The springtime is when all the sexy migrants come through, and who doesn't love a Baltimore Oriole or a scarlet tanager? So that's so fun. Summertime, you get some shorebirds, little piping plovers come back. So you tell him that as a birder, one of the best tools in his toolbox is a calendar. You can see all different things year round. So it's exciting. There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. So as long as you're ready to go, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so what advice would you give people who want to do what you do, whether it's start their own business, whether it's be outside birding, or learn about working with animals and what that career and that trajectory entails, the science comms, the nonprofit world, et cetera?
The piece of advice that I have is I will credit Babes in Business. They put on the event I just went to that I was talking about. The theme was dreams don't chase themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that whatever your dream is, doesn't have to be a dream job, but whatever your dream is, whether that's starting a business or learning more about birds or learning more about animals or getting better at math, putting together an outfit that matches, like that's hard for me. Like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like it's hard work. And I think you have to be ready to put in the work and do the unsexy things. Like we were talking about earlier, like sometimes saving the world looks like an Excel spreadsheet, right? Like sometimes being a business owner means that you're like in your MailChimp database fighting for your life, trying to figure out how to like make the contacts merge or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is that you're doing, but now you can send a really meaningful holiday card because you have the data and you remember this kid's name who came on your walk, and sending the card to their family with the personalization of that touch is really important to you and your brand, right? But like if you don't have the systems to back yourself up, it's never going to happen. And so I think being okay with asking for help, whether that's from people or systems, and like doing your homework so that you have it on the back end so that you can do the really fun, sexy things like outwardly.
Yeah.
You know, because there's, you know, like how much work have you done behind the scenes that nobody's going to see on this podcast but you, right?
Up until this point, a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot, you know?
But I do hope that it's a platform for demystifying how to do certain things at the same time.
There's one more thing that like, it might not make sense here, but I want to say it because it was really important to me. There are people who will always lift you up, like always, right? And there is this woman named Holly that I met at Adult Bird Camp in Maine. And I emailed her when Beachy Birder was, you know, still kind of in my head. And I know that she has some businesses that she runs. And I asked her for some help. And this woman sent me a step-by-step of like, and then you get the LLC, and then you get insurance. Think about a PO box. Have you thought about this checking account? Have you done this? And like, what an unbelievable resource. And like, how generous
she was your personal Zen business.
Yeah. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was so generous and it was so thorough. And like, so I literally like this blueprint like landed in my lap. And like, it was one of the reasons why I was able to start as fast as I did, because I had, you know, like to get into certain parks, like I needed the certificate of insurance and like you need this, whatever, to get that, like it all builds. And like I had that from this person. And so I think that community is just so important. It's just so, so important for anybody who has an idea, you know?
And finding the people who are willing to help you. And being willing to ask for help. I know you mentioned that already, but like it can be hard to ask for help and just being like, nope, this is a space that I need some help.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
This has been so fantastic. Is there anything else that you want to share? Life, work, finding the balance? I'm definitely going to hit you up about Bird Camp. I have more questions.
Oh yeah. Bird Camp is awesome. What happens at Bird Camp stays at Bird Camp. So that's an offline conversation. But, yeah, no, I love it. I think, I think that it is always a great time to start.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So I think that's what I got.
Thanks so much for listening to Climbing Sideways. You can find us on Instagram at Climbing Sideways Pod. And you can find Lindsay and Beachy Birder Adventures on there too at Beachy Birder. Thank you so, so much to Zubin Hensler, who did all of the mixing and original music that you heard today. And a big shout out to Matilda Luk for design support. Lindsay and I also encourage you to check out Wild Bird Research Group, where we volunteer together on Instagram at Wild Bird Research or online at wildbirdresearch.org. This podcast is totally free, but since we're brand new, please subscribe, share, follow, like us on Instagram, tell your friends about us. Let us know if you want to be interviewed. Let us know whether or not you like today's episode. And we'll be back in a couple weeks with another conversation. Thanks so much. Bye.